Most men will never become strong, not because they lack potential, not because they were born weak, but because they never train their mind. Look around. The modern world is designed to make you soft. Constant distractions, emotional reactions, endless excuses. Everyone talks about motivation, discipline, going to the gym, but nobody talks about what actually creates lasting strength: mental control. The Stoics understood this 2,000 years ago. Marcus Aurelius, an emperor who could have had anything he wanted, wrote in his private journal about controlling his thoughts. Epictetus, a former slave, became one of the most respected philosophers in Rome because he mastered his inner world. These weren't just thinkers. They were warriors, leaders, men who faced real challenges. And they all followed the same principles. In the next 30 minutes, you'll learn the 10 Stoic rules that forged the strongest minds in history, and exactly how to apply them in your life today. No theory, no philosophy lectures, just raw, actionable principles that will change how you think, act, and show up in the world. But here's what you need to understand first. If you're serious about becoming mentally strong, everything starts with how your subconscious is programmed. Most men are fighting against their own internal patterns without even knowing it. I'll share a system later in this video that helped thousands rewire their mindset. Make sure you stay until the end. Let's begin. Stoicism wasn't born in a classroom. It was born in war, in slavery, in the chaos of the Roman Empire. The men who created it weren't writing self-help books. They were surviving, leading, fighting for their lives. Marcus Aurelius commanded armies and ruled an empire while dealing with betrayal, plague, and constant threats. Epictetus was born a slave, lived through physical torture, and still became one of the most influential minds of his time. Seneca advised emperors and navigated the deadliest politics in history. These men didn't have motivation. They had systems, mental frameworks, rules they followed no matter what. And that's the difference. Motivation is a feeling. It comes and goes. Stoicism is reprogramming. It's training your mind to operate at a higher level, regardless of circumstances, emotions, or external chaos. So if you're expecting another motivation video, this isn't it. This is about transformation, real, permanent change. Let's start with the foundations, because without them, strength is impossible. Rule 1. Control what you can control. The first rule is simple, but most men violate it every single day. Control what you can control. Epictetus said it clearly. Some things are within our power, others are not. Within our power are our thoughts, our actions, our responses. Outside our power is everything else. Weather, traffic, what people think of you, the economy, your past. Sounds obvious, right? But here's the trap. You're wasting mental energy on things you can't control right now. You're stressed about how someone perceives you. You're angry about a decision your boss made. You're anxious about the future, replaying the past in your head. Every ounce of energy you spend on what you can't control is energy stolen from what you can. Think about social media. You post something. Now you're checking for likes, comments, reactions. You're letting the opinions of strangers control your emotional state. That's not strength. That's weakness disguised as engagement, that a strong man knows exactly where his power lies. He focuses on his actions, his discipline, his standards. Everything else is noise. Here's the daily practice. Every morning, ask yourself one question. What is actually within my control today? Not what you wish you could control. Not what you think you should control. What you actually can control. Your effort, your attitude, your honesty, your training, your focus. That's it. Everything else you let go. This is where mental freedom begins. When you stop trying to control the uncontrollable, you reclaim your energy. You stop being reactive. You become a force. The strongest men in history understood this instinctively. They didn't waste time complaining. They identified what they could change and changed it. Everything else they accepted. This is the foundation. Master this, and you're already ahead of 90% of men. Rule 2. Emotions are information, not commands. Second rule. Emotions are information, not commands. Let me be clear. Stoicism doesn't mean you don't feel. That's a myth. Marcus Aurelius felt anger. Seneca felt fear. The difference is they didn't obey those emotions. Most men are slaves to their feelings. They feel anxious, so they avoid. They feel angry, so they lash out. They feel insecure, so they seek validation. They're not making decisions. Their emotions are making decisions for them. Here's the shift. Emotions are signals. They're data. Anger tells you a boundary was crossed. Fear tells you there's risk. Anxiety tells you something needs attention. But none of these emotions are orders. A weak man feels anger and explodes. A strong man feels anger and asks, "What is this telling me? What boundary do I need to set? How do I respond in a way that aligns with who I want to be?" There's a difference between reacting and responding. Reaction is automatic. It's emotional. It's unconscious. Response is intentional. It's controlled. It's powerful. Think about the last time someone disrespected you. If you're reactive, you immediately defend yourself, prove them wrong, attack back. If you're responsive, you pause. You assess. You decide if it's even worth your energy. The Stoics called this the pause, the space between stimulus and response. That space is where your power lives. Here's the practice. When you feel a strong emotion, don't act immediately. Name it. I'm feeling angry. I'm feeling anxious. I'm feeling threatened. Then ask, is this emotion giving me useful information, or is it trying to hijack my behavior? 9 times out of 10, the emotion is outdated programming. It's a survival instinct from 10,000 years ago trying to run a modern situation. You don't need to obey it. Strong men feel everything, but they choose their actions. That's the difference. Rule 3, discomfort is the path. Third rule, discomfort is the path. The modern world has one goal: make you comfortable. Warm bed, easy entertainment, instant gratification, and comfort is killing you. Here's the truth the Stoics knew. Whatever you avoid controls you. If you avoid cold, you're weak to cold. If you avoid difficult conversations, you're controlled by social fear. If you avoid physical pain, your threshold drops lower and lower. Comfort is a trap. It feels good in a moment, but it makes you fragile over time. The Stoics practiced voluntary discomfort. Seneca would sleep on a hard floor. Marcus Aurelius would go without luxuries, even though he was the most powerful man in the world. They did this intentionally to remind themselves they could handle anything. This isn't about suffering for no reason. It's about raising your baseline. When you intentionally expose yourself to discomfort, everything else becomes easier. Cold showers, fasting, hard training, silence, solitude. These aren't punishments. They're training. Every time you choose discomfort, you're telling your brain, I'm in control. You're not running from feelings. You're not dependent on external conditions for your peace. And here's what happens. You become anti-fragile. Challenges don't break you. They make you stronger. Most men wait for life to force discomfort on them. Then they collapse. Strong men seek it out. They build their capacity before they need it. Start small. Take a cold shower tomorrow. Sit in silence for 10 minutes. Do the hard task first. Train your mind to stop avoiding. Because the man who can handle discomfort can handle anything. Once your foundations are solid, discipline becomes unavoidable. Rule 4, daily discipline over motivation. Fourth rule, daily discipline over motivation. Motivation is a lie. It's a feeling that comes and goes. You feel motivated Monday morning, by Wednesday it's gone. You can't build a life on something that's unstable. Discipline is different. Discipline doesn't care how you feel. Discipline is doing what needs to be done when it needs to be done, whether you feel like it or not. The Stoics didn't talk about motivation. They talked about duty. They talked about living according to nature, which meant living according to reason, not emotion. Marcus Aurelius woke up every day and did his duty, not because he felt inspired, because that's who he was. Here's the shift. Stop trying to feel motivated. Start building systems. Routines. Non negociables. You train at the same time every day. You work on your goals at the same time every day. You don't debate it. You don't negotiate with yourself. You just do it. Why? Because repetition creates identity. When you do something consistently, it becomes part of who you are. You're not someone who goes to the gym when you feel like it. You're someone who trains. Period. This is how you build an unshakable foundation. Not through bursts of motivation, but through relentless consistency. And here's the secret. Discipline is easier than you think. The hard part is the decision. Once the decision is made, once it's non-negotiable, the action becomes automatic. You're not wasting energy debating whether to do it. You're just doing it. Strong men have routines. They have standards. They don't rely on feelings. They rely on systems. Build yours. Rule 5, detach from outcomes. Fifth rule, detach from outcomes. This is one of the most misunderstood Stoic principles. People think it means you don't care about results. That's not it. You care deeply about your actions. You give maximum effort, but you release attachment to the outcome. Why? Because outcomes are not fully in your control. You can do everything right and still fail. You can work harder than everyone else and still lose. The market crashes. Someone betrays you. Life happens. If your peace, your identity, your self-worth is tied to outcomes, you're setting yourself up for constant suffering. Marcus Aurelius knew this. He fought wars he didn't start. He dealt with betrayals he didn't deserve. But he never let external results dictate his internal state. The Stoics called this amor fati, love of fate. Whatever happens, you accept it. Not passively, not as a victim, but as someone who understands that you can only control your response. Here's the application. Focus on process, not results. You can control your effort, your preparation, your consistency. You can't control whether you get the promotion, whether she says yes, whether the business succeeds. Do the work. Do it at the highest level. Then release the outcome. This is where real performance comes from. When you're not paralyzed by fear of failure, you perform better. When you're not obsessed with winning, you make better decisions. Detachment doesn't mean you don't care. It means you're free. Rule 6, silence builds power. Sixth rule, silence builds power. Most men talk too much. They explain themselves. They seek validation. They fill every silence with noise. The Stoics understood something crucial. The less you speak, the more you observe. The more you observe, the more you understand. The more you understand, the more powerful you become. Silence is a weapon. In negotiations, in conflict, in relationships, when you're comfortable with silence, you control the frame. Think about it. Someone insults you. The weak response is immediate defense. The strong response is silence. Let them talk. Let them reveal themselves. You stay calm. You stay centered. Silence also conserves energy. Every word you speak is energy spent. Every explanation is energy wasted. Strong men don't explain themselves to people who don't matter. Here's the practice. Talk less. Listen more. When you do speak, make it count. No fide. No ha necessity explanations. No seeking approval. You'll notice something interesting. People start listening when you talk, because your words have weight. Silence is confidence. Silence is control. Silence is strength. Rule 7, train the mind daily. Seventh rule, train the mind daily. Your mind is a muscle. If you don't train it, it weakens. If you train it wrong, it works against you. The Stoics had daily practices. Marcus Aurelius journaled every morning. Epictetus taught his students to review their day every night. Seneca wrote letters reflecting on philosophy and life. These weren't random habits. They were mental training. Here's what most men don't understand. Your subconscious is always running programs, beliefs, patterns, reactions. Most of these programs were installed without your permission. Childhood, society, trauma, fear. If you don't actively reprogram your mind, you're living on autopilot. And autopilot is usually programmed for survival, not success. The Stoics used negative visualization. They imagined losing everything, not to be pessimistic, but to prepare mentally. So when challenges came, they weren't shocked. They were ready. They also used journaling as self-reflection. What did I do well today? Where did I fail? How can I improve tomorrow? This is active mental training. You're not just reacting to life. You're consciously shaping how you think. Here's the truth most people avoid. You can't build discipline if your subconscious is programmed for comfort, fear, and limitation. That's why systems like the subconscious millionaire system exist. They help rewire your internal patterns so discipline becomes natural, not forced. It aligns perfectly with Stoic principles, training your mind to work for you, not against you. The point is this: daily mental training is non-negotiable. Whether it's journaling, meditation, visualization, or a structured reprogramming system, you need to actively shape your mind. Because your mind will be shaped one way or another, either by you or by the world. Choose you. Rule 8. Become the observer of your thoughts. 8th rule. Become the observer of your thoughts. Here's a game changer. You're not your thoughts. Most men are completely identified with their thinking. A negative thought appears, and they believe it. An anxious thought appears, and they react to it. They think they're their thoughts. The Stoics knew better. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." The shift is simple but profound. Instead of being inside your thoughts, step back. Observe them. A thought appears, "I'm not good enough." Instead of believing it, you notice it. There's a thought saying, "I'm not good enough." That's different. When you become the observer, thoughts lose their power. They're just mental events. They come and go. They don't define you. This is cognitive distance. It's one of the most powerful tools for mental freedom. Because here's what happens. When you're not identified with your thoughts, you stop being controlled by them. Negative thoughts appear, but they don't dictate your actions. Self-doubt appears, but you move forward anyway. You realize that thoughts are just noise. What matters is what you do. Practice this daily. When a strong thought or emotion appears, pause. Notice it. Name it. Don't judge it. Just observe. Over time, you build space between you and your mind. That space is freedom. Rule 9. Live as if you are watched. 9th rule. Live as if you are watched. The Stoics had a principle. Live as if the wisest person you know is watching everything you do. Not because you need approval, but because it forces integrity. Most men act differently when no one is watching. They cut corners. They compromise. They do things in private they would never do in public. That's weakness. A strong man has one version of himself. He doesn't have a public persona and a private self. He lives by the same standards whether he's alone or in front of a crowd. This is where honor lives. This is where self-respect is built. Every action you take in private is programming your identity. If you lie when no one is watching, you're training yourself to be a liar. If you quit when it's hard, you're training yourself to be a quitter. But if you hold your standards even when no one will ever know, you become unbreakable. Here's the practice. Decide who you want to be. Then act like that person all the time. Not just when it's convenient. Not just when people are watching. All the time. This is integrity. This is self-mastery. This is strength. Rule 10. Build a life, not an image. 10th rule. Build a life, not an image. The modern world is obsessed with image. Followers. Status. How things look. The Stoics didn't care about any of that. They cared about reality. They cared about who they actually were, not who people thought they were. Seneca wrote about wealthy men who lived in massive houses but had no inner peace. They looked successful. They were miserable. Real strength is invisible. It's built in the quiet moments, the early mornings, the hard decisions no one sees, the discipline when no one is watching. You're not building a life to impress people. You're building a life you're proud of, a life that aligns with your values, a life that lasts. Here's the trap. When you focus on image, you're always performing. You're exhausted. You're fragile because your sense of self depends on external validation. But when you focus on reality, on actually becoming stronger, wiser, more disciplined, you're free. You don't need anyone's approval. You know who you are? This is legacy mindset. You're not thinking about the next month. You're thinking about the next decade, the next generation. What kind of man are you building? Not what kind of image. That's the question that matters. So here are the 10 rules. Control what you can control. Emotions are information, not commands. Discomfort is the path. Daily discipline over motivation. Detach from outcomes. Silence builds power. Train the mind daily. Become the observer of your thoughts. Live as if you were watched. Build a life, not an image. These aren't just ideas. They're a system, a way of operating. The Stoics used these principles to navigate war, betrayal, loss, and chaos. And they became some of the strongest men in history. You can do the same. Strength is not loud. It doesn't beg for attention. It's built quietly, day after day, through discipline, control, and relentless commitment to who you want to become. The path is clear. The question is, will you walk it? If you're ready to stop relying on motivation and start building real inner strength, I highly recommend checking out the Subconscious Millionaire System. It aligns perfectly with Stoic discipline, training your subconscious to work for you, not against you. The link is in the description. If this video gave you value, hit the like button. Subscribe if you want more content like this. And comment Stoic if you watched until the end. Now go build.